Hey guys, it's MadameWario, and welcome back to more Mario Party Evolution, where today we are checking out the top 10 worst minigames in Mario Party 1. Let's get started. To start us off, we have a not so honorable mention. This game wasn't quite bad enough to make the top 10, but it did come in 11th and was pretty darn close to being in the bottom 10 for good reason. It's none other than Skateboard Scamper. The only problem I really have with this game is the camera angle and the ending. It's one of those games where if you haven't played it before, you're probably gonna suck at it and you're probably going to lose. And in my opinion, a minigame should not have to be played once in order for you to understand how to play it and know what to expect, or to even just have a chance. You really aren't even given much of a chance with this game unless you know exactly what's coming and what to expect. Also, the end has a very faulty mechanic where you could lose even when it looks like you're winning. I feel like the game basically picks a random winner to achieve first place when playing this minigame. However, I didn't think this game was quite bad enough to make the worst top 10 because I do find it to be a bit of a challenge, which I kind of like after playing Mario Party for so many years, so it really didn't make sense to put this in the bottom 10 when it's something I can kind of enjoy playing, faulty mechanics aside. That being said though, it's time to get to the real list. So here we go! Coming in at number 10 is the one-player minigame, Limbo Dance. Now we all know this to be the most challenging one-player minigame, which is something, again, like Skateboard Scamper, I do enjoy after many years of playing Mario Party because it still gives me somewhat of a challenge, which is why it's so low on this list. However, the fact that you almost have to lose in order to win by practically falling over doesn't really make it that great of a game. It's another game where you have to have played it before in order to understand how to even get through the game, let alone win it. When you get to the really low beams, it's super easy to slip and fall on your butt, or to just hit the bar altogether, which is very frustrating when I play as somebody like Wario, who's got a pretty big belly. How are you supposed to judge that? I just don't think it was designed very well for the kind of game that it is, and it is very frustrating if you've never played it before. Coming in at number 9 is none other than the 4-player minigame Hammer Drop. This is one of those games that some people may love because they can get as many coins as they really want. But if you're me and you have the worst luck ever with this game, you just get screwed over or squished by a hammer continuously. In my opinion, the game goes on too long and the computer players are a little too smart in knowing just exactly where the coin bags and coins are going to drop. Now, when you're playing with human players, this might be a little bit more fun and more of an actual challenge as to get the big coins, but when you're playing with computers, it's just downright unfair. You just get cheated while everybody else reaps huge benefits and you end up leaving with nothing. You're gonna notice a trend with the next few minigames on this list, and that's because the best way to describe them is downright boring. Coming in at number 8 is Coin Block Bash, the 1 vs 3 minigame where one player gets a hammer and the rest get their heads. This minigame is just downright boring. There's not really much of a challenge to it, and even the person who has a leg up on everybody else doesn't really reap that big of benefits. It's just as easy to use the hammer on a coin block, only for the coins to go in the direction of another player and they get the benefits. I just think this game is just overall boring and not that much fun to play. It's almost just a big downer when you get this game as your 1 vs 3 because it offers no exciting challenge and not really any exciting mechanic either. I just feel like this was a really weak design for a 1 vs 3 minigame. Seriously, there were no other ideas? Coming in at number 7 is Box Mountain Mayhem, the 4-player minigame where you punch a bunch of boxes, causing them to explode, and coins to maybe come out of them. This game's just a little bit too random for me, and again, not very exciting to play. You just don't really have any reason to get excited over this game. The coins randomly spill out in certain boxes. Sometimes you benefit from it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can't even see what's going on because the camera angles can get so funky on that box tower. Really, I could see some potential in the idea for this game, like maybe if you were looking for boxes with certain marks on them, and if you got, say, a box that had a Bowser face on it, you accidentally explode and get frozen for a second while other people get coins. But they just didn't put enough effort into this minigame to really make it anything special at all, which is why it's just another boring game that you're kind of like, oh cool, we get to play this again whenever it appears on your minigame roulette. The trend continues with number 6, Coin Block Blitz. This is perhaps laziest of all the box minigames in Mario Party. It's another 4-player minigame where all you do is run around, bash your head into these boxes, and get coins. However, you never get the number of coins that you see on the screen. For example, you can be bashing your head against a box that you count 14 coins coming out of, only to go to the results screen and see that you only got 5. It doesn't make any sense how this game calculates the coins that you get from it, and it's just really super boring. I don't really find any fun in doing this in a Mario Party minigame where you run around and hit boxes with your head and don't even get the number of coins that is supposedly coming out of them. That's just a messed up minigame. We're down to the top 5 worst minigames in Mario Party 1. And number 5 takes the cake when it comes to an extremely lazily designed minigame. Perhaps the most boring minigame is the 1-player minigame Ground Pound. All you have to do is ground pound 5 flat stumps. That's right, a whopping 5. And not only that, but you have way too much time to do it, and way too much time to memorize where these stumps actually are before they're covered by really poorly designed butterflies. I don't really understand why they thought this would be challenging at all, and it seems like one of those games where the developers were like, ooh, we need one more 1-player minigame. Let's see, this works. Sure. What is this? Coming in at number 4 is the 4-player minigame Grabbag, where you and your opponents are locked in a dungeon, and it's basically a free-for-all to take everyone's coins that you can possibly get. I absolutely despise this minigame because you have to get at just the right angle to steal any coins from your opponent. Sure, you should just be able to run up to the back of any of your opponents, press the B button, and steal some of their coins out of their bag. But no, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you're awkwardly standing to the side and it works, sometimes you're in the perfect spot right behind them and it fails. This is so frustrating because you can lose so many coins in this minigame and not be able to get them back due to a faulty mechanic and game design. Every time I get this minigame, 9 times out of 10 I come out on the bottom or completely frustrated because I wasn't able to get anything, or worse, all I did was lose my hard-earned coins because my B button wasn't registering correctly according to the game's programming. And it's even worse that there's no limit to how many coins your opponents can steal. How are you supposed to have fun with a game that doesn't work half the time, where your opponents just reap all the benefits? It's just not a very well-designed game. We're down to the top 3 worst games in Mario Party 1, and coming in at number 3 is the 1 vs 3 minigame, Paddle Battle. This game is not only painful because it features the rotate the control stick mechanic, but it also just sucks because of the design. It makes it where you can't really dominate in this game, which is sort of fair, but when you're playing against a computer player and they randomly get bursts of strength, causing you to ram into the opposite side of the river, There's nothing fair about that. It just doesn't make much sense that there's not really a high reward for this game either. You can kill your hand with the control stick only to come out with 2 coins. That's not really a rewarding feeling for the pain you just endured to play this game. It's also another minigame that goes on for too long and just isn't fun enough to be worth your time. Not to mention the fact that the mechanic you have to use is so brutal and so demanding in this game that really, you could end up losing a great sum of coins if you don't put any effort into it at all, which is why this minigame comes in at number 3 on my countdown. The runner-up for the worst minigame in Mario Party 1, coming in at number 2, is the 1 vs 3 minigame, Bash of Cash. It's bad enough that it's an option to get this on the 1 vs 3 minigame roulette, but the fact that it's also a Bowser minigame makes it 10 times worse. This is one of those games where you're almost guaranteed to lose at least 20 coins, enough to get a star every single time, and you can play it back to back. I've had many instances where I get this in the 1 vs 3 minigame roulette, then someone immediately gets a Bowser space and we play it again. Even if you don't lose anything in the Bowser version of this game, you still are forced to give up coins because Bowser wants you to be a loser that badly. The fact that your coins can bounce around this freaking dungeon as well and no one even picks them up, they just disappear, is completely pointless, and sometimes it can be kind of hard to grab those bouncing coin bags as they explode out of your Bowser body. I just hate getting this minigame, and every time I play it and lose a large sum of coins, it makes me want to rage quit the game, which is ridiculous considering it's just a Mario Party board. There's nothing fun about being cornered by your 3 opponents to just lose no matter what and have no chance of winning on your own. That just doesn't make for a very fun minigame at all in any regard, and I even feel bad when I'm playing this minigame with my friends and I'm one of the 3 players. There's no way to defend yourself in this game besides slowly running around or jumping, and even that doesn't work sometimes. This minigame is just terrible, and I've never enjoyed playing it at all, which is why it's number 2 on my countdown. Here it is, the number 1 spot on my top 10 worst Mario Party 1 minigames. Coming in at number 1 is none other than the 4-player minigame, Slot Car Derby. This is one of those minigames where it could offer a challenge and it could be well designed, but it just plain and simple is not. It's not fun and it's not well designed, and the fact that you have to barely even touch your control stick just to play this minigame says it all. When you can't even use your controller correctly to play a minigame, you know there's something wrong. The fact that you can barely press on that control stick and immediately spin out and do horribly at this minigame just makes it where you're again challenging a faulty game design and game mechanic. I can't help the way that this game is programmed, but it seems like no matter what, the computer players have no problem making laps around the racetrack, but I spin out barely doing anything. I could blow on my control stick and it would somehow make me spin out in this minigame. The challenge is faulty, it's not fun, and it's just kind of boring. Going around this little slot track for a race that isn't even riveting in the slightest is not enjoyable at all, and it's a surprise that I even gave Mario Party a chance considering this is one of the first minigames I ever played in the entire game. The controls didn't get any better with age, and I don't feel like I ever have enjoyed this minigame, even once. Even with our runner-up in the countdown, Bash and Cash, at least I could use it to my benefit on some maps when I was really struggling to come out on top. But this minigame pretty much guarantees my failure, and for no good reason. Practice does not make perfect on this minigame, it's poorly designed, and it's not fun to play, and that's why it's my number 1 choice for the worst minigame in Mario Party 1. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this countdown as we've gone through my top 10 picks for the worst minigames in Mario Party 1. Please comment and let me know which of these is your least favorite as well, and if you agree or disagree. I'm curious to see what minigames are your least favorites to play in Mario Party 1 and why. It was a lot of fun putting this countdown together, because when you think of the minigames you never want to play again, you know what they are, and you're just like, no, please don't give me that minigame ever again. So it was really kind of cool to go through and analyze why I don't like some of the minigames that I have never liked or enjoyed playing. So thank you guys so much for listening and watching once again, and I'll see you for more Mario Party Evolution next time. Peace out, pimps.